The giant house spider is famous for being one of the fastest spiders in the world. They used to hold a Guinness World Record for their speed, as they can run at over half a meter per second.
Damn it!
But can all that speed help him escape from the world's deadliest carnivorous plant? Will those powerful legs help him run away, or will our pitcher plant hold him back? Well, to make this as fair as possible, let's give this guy a meal so he has enough energy to escape, and this also gives us a chance to see how quick he actually is. Now it might not seem like it, but it only took this guy 0.1 seconds to catch this fly. That's as quick as you can snap your fingers. It was so quick in fact that I didn't even know he had caught something until a few seconds later.
Look, he got one. That was quick.
Yet what makes this better for you guys is that we have 2 spiders to feed our plant, and this guy is big enough to get a cricket. Now, seeing as this guy is double the size of the other spider, he should be more powerful and stronger than him. So my guess is that he will escape much easier than the small one. However, this smaller guy is lighter, so maybe he will be able to escape easier. The only way to find out is to feed our plant. Now, even though Sarah and the pitcher plants here have earned the title of the world's deadliest carnivorous plant, spiders have a very unique relationship with them. But this guy is making it really difficult to show that to you right now.
Why do you love this tub so much? There you go.
If you didn't know, we just finished a competition between all of our plants, and getting the chance to have some juicy spiders is the prize for our winner, along with some other cool things I'll show you later. But for now, we have our small spider doing some risky stuff around the opening of Sarah's mouth.
Oh.
Honestly, this catch surprised me quite a bit. This small spider is so much lighter than the big one that I really thought he would be able to hold on and keep himself out of trouble while walking past. But as it turns out, the pitcher plant's waxy walls that are perfectly adapted to making bugs slip in also stop this guy from holding on, even though we all know how good spiders are at climbing things. Now, I did try to get him out of here because I thought I pushed him in, and that's not very fair, but after seeing the footage, he actually slipped in. Regardless, he was deep inside the stomach acids already, and there wasn't much I could do to get him out. However, we still have the big spider to feed this plant, and a couple other things I haven't told you about, which will show us just how special the relationship between these plants and spiders can be. Yet, for now, let's try and see how the big spider does with the pitcher plant. And seeing as I still thought I knocked the smaller one in, I spent a long time waiting to see if this guy would climb towards the front of the trap and possibly work with the plant instead of getting caught.
See if we can get him a bit closer. Okay.
And once again, the giant house spider just can't get a grip on the pitcher plant and falls in as if it doesn't have 8 legs and grippy feet. Just like before, I tried to get this guy out too because I felt like it was my fault, but as we saw, it wasn't. There's a pretty good reason why these guys get caught so easily, and the other spiders we'll see in this video actually work with the plant. The giant house spider doesn't really use its web while moving around. In fact, it would be silly to have a safety web dragging behind them because these guys always sprint around. Now, not only does this mean they can fall much easier because they aren't very careful, but their feet are adapted to flat surfaces and flat webs. Not really these super slippery plants that curve to catch bugs. However, there are some spiders that use this to their advantage. The garden spider is perfectly adapted to climbing any plant that comes its way, and seeing as a pitcher plant is just a modified leaf, it should be able to climb all over it without struggling. And for some spiders, even use the plant to help it catch food. Yet, before I explain more about that, there are some spiders that can escape getting caught but still get caught, if you know what I mean. This is the false widow. It is almost as good at climbing leaves as the garden spider is, but unlike the garden spider, he has had a bit of nectar. We've seen it many times before, but the false widow eats carnivorous plant nectar quite often, unlike the garden spider here, which doesn't really seem to like it too much. And as we already know, the nectar is poisonous, so this guy is starting to feel the effects of it. Usually, the fly, or spider in this case, would be under the lid eating the nectar, where it then starts to get a bit drunk and eventually falls into the trap, regardless of how good it is at climbing. Now, of course, the false widow didn't fall inside the trap because he was in the wrong spot, but this gives us an opportunity to see how well the garden spider actually works with the pitcher plant to catch its food. And to be honest, the garden spider isn't even the best at doing this. The garden spider loves using its webs everywhere it goes, so if he wants to come down and see what the pitcher plant got drunk but never caught, he easily can. Obviously, after discovering that this guy is another spider, one more dangerous than him, the garden spider runs away to watch what it might do. But after a few minutes of it doing nothing, he returns to his new hideout. And of course, the pitcher plant has got itself another victim. Yet, I did mention there are other spiders out there that are better at living with the pitcher plant. The Lynx spider. Just like the garden spider, it is excellent at climbing leaves and plants and often hides under the lid of pitcher plants, waiting for bugs to come past and taste that nectar before it strikes. Yet, just like the house spider we saw earlier, it doesn't use any webs. That's because it has adapted to climbing plants, unlike the house spider that has adapted to flat areas and flat webs. So luckily for the Lynx spider, they don't really need as much web as the garden spider does to stay safe. However, that doesn't mean the garden spider doesn't have its own unique way of staying safe around these plants. As far as I have seen, these guys are very active at dawn and dusk, probably because the darkness keeps them protected from other predators seeing them. So by making it dark in here, he feels safe enough to come out of his hiding spot. And what I find fascinating is that this guy seems like he's looking for that false widow he saw earlier and wants to make sure it isn't on his new home. After going down to see where it last was, he retreats back under the lid to hang out for the rest of the night. Yet, before we turn the cameras off, there's one more thing that the garden spider does to keep himself safe. Remember those safety webs I mentioned earlier? Well, the garden spider is always attached to one. He climbs out without any struggle, no matter how hard you might shake him in. And while the pitcher plant has now had a huge meal, it has also gained a new teammate. Throughout the night and the entire next day, the spider stayed on his new home. And even now, a few days later, he is still here, catching whatever comes past. Now, I did mention that there are some other cool prizes for our plants and for you guys too. The first prize is the custom-made pots that I have spent about a year designing and refining. The plant tag not only has more information on it than a normal tag, but it can also pop in and out of the pot so that it doesn't get in the way or fade in the sun and eventually break apart. And obviously, the pots are designed to give the plant heaps of airflow, water flow, and enough space for their long roots to grow down without wasting all these sideways sideways space that we usually get from the bigger pots. But right now, I'm testing if she can actually break this pot like pitcher plants usually do, because she's growing so damn quick in it. Of course, she has also been given her Season 2 trophy like I promised, and the prize for you guys is that 5 subscribers will be getting a division of our pitcher plants that were in this competition. So make sure to be subscribed and even share this video with someone else who might enjoy it, because you could get an email from me asking you for your mailing address. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.